I am live, and today we are about to go there. Today we are about to go into the subject of your boundaries and why it is not okay for people to cross them. But number one, why the first person that needs to stop crossing your boundaries is you. But before we get into that, let me play a little bit of this music because I think this is going to set the tone effectively. Talking about boundaries today, y'all. And why you gotta set them. Okay. So I had to get ready for this one because today is going to be a little bit heavy. And the reason it's going to be heavy is because, man, most of us don't even know what a boundary is. We typically hear about them from these cliche statements that other people make and potentially know a bit about psychology and dealing with all of these different gurus online. But my personal best definition of boundaries or description of boundaries is going to be this, where you end and another person begins. This is critical because if you know where the boundary is, that means you know what belongs to you, is your property, and what belongs to somebody else, it's their property. That way, you don't try to take something that don't belong to you, and that is responsibility as well as accountability that has nothing to do with your ownership. But in order to take ownership of something effectively, you must first know that it's yours. And I want to tell you that your voice is yours. It don't belong to nobody else. That's it. And if your voice belongs to you, it is your responsibility to unmute yourself. It's kind of like when you get into a Zoom room and you want to speak. You want to have permission to speak. Well, sometimes they have it available to you just to not have to raise your hand, but just simply push the button and say, hey, just come off mute. And so many people are afraid of what somebody is going to say about what they have to say. Well, what if you valued what you had to say enough to speak up? It reminds me of this proverb. I can't get enough of it. It's a proverb. It says, open your mouth for the mute, for the rights of all the unfortunate. And what's interesting here is that you have people who are not willing to open up their mouth when it comes to speaking about something that they are actually responsible for. Ooh. And if you're not speaking up on behalf of what belongs to you, because if you're responsible for it, then it belongs to you. If you're responsible to it, it may not belong to you. But if you know this is yours, this is something that belongs to you. Matter of fact, this is your voice. This is your voice, and your voice matters. Your voice is valid. Your voice is valuable, able to be of value, able to be of use. That means that when you just allow somebody to bully you and not allow you to speak up, the real person that you are allowing to prevent you from doing that which you are responsible for and to is you. And you got to stop bullying you, fam. If you don't ever open up your mouth, then you choose not to unmute yourself in a room that you belong in. Like, you belong there. You deserve to be heard. But here's the thing. If you never understand that the value of what you have to say is something that is actually so useful, it could free somebody else, then you are participating in someone else's oppression and suppression and possibly depression based off of your assumption about you and what you have to say. If you don't unmute yourself, you may be preventing people from being free. And the last thing you want to do is be a willing participant in being irresponsible when it comes to your ownership. You own your voice. You own your thing. You have to say something, because if you don't, you are not only being negligent, irresponsible, but you are also, dare I say it, being lazy. Ooh, hold on. I don't know if I can say that. Let me put pause right here real quick. Sheesh. Yeah, that hurt. If you're not being responsible and you are being negligent and not taking care of that which belongs to you, what you have ownership over, and you are not giving it any energy or effort, that means you are being lazy, fam. And when I know for a fact I'm being lazy, I just got to take that L. Lazy is not someone who won't do the work. Lazy is somebody who will do all the other work that they got nothing to do with the main work that needs to get done. There's this proverb that says that the slothful or the lazy will not roast their prey. That means they went out and they hunted. They did all the work to go and acquire and get what it is they were hunting for. But when they got it, they didn't finish the job. They wouldn't roast the prey. They wouldn't actually cook the food so that they could feed themselves. That doesn't mean they didn't put any effort towards any of the things. It simply means they didn't finish the job. Well, if you have something that belongs to you and you have ownership over it and you are not taking care of it, that means you're giving no energy to it. And where we are not giving energy towards the things that require our energy and attention, then we are being lazy. Ooh, you ever been in a lazy, loving relationship where the person just was doing just bare minimum just to make sure that you knew that they were there, but they wasn't really doing nothing to make sure that you knew, like, hey, I got your back, like chiropractic. What's up? I'm here to support you. I'm here to make sure that you get to the destination of your destiny because I'm a part of that process. I'm committed to you. I love you. Why? Because I said I do if you married. But they ain't doing all that. What they doing is they do just enough to keep the fire going just a little bit. You know, make sure you know that they there, but they like that cool teacher that is lazy as all get out, but they in the classroom, but they not. They just they there to make sure that you know that there's a teacher in the room. Well, you don't want to be that lazy loving individual. Please don't be a lazy lover. Love, let me tell you something. Love. There's an acronym if you want this, and I promise you, this will support your whole life. I promise you, if you get an understanding of this right here. This what I'm about to tell you, if you understand what I'm about to tell you, I promise you, if you take this, you can run with it and it will change your life forever. It has helped me immensely. What I'm about to tell you is called love, but I'm not going to give it to you in a way that you've heard it before. When I say love, I mean L.O.V.E, learning to observe the value in everyone. Oh my goodness. Learning. Here's the thing about learning. Learning is something that you have to commit to doing. If you are going to learn about a person, then that means you have to be willing to be committed to the process. Because if you start something and don't finish it, I already told you that's being lazy. You can go out and you can go do whatever needs to be done. But if you don't finish the job, you don't give it the energy and effort that it needs to be completed, you are being lazy. And we are all guilty at some point. But when it comes to loving somebody, we can't be lazy with loving people. Oh, so if you're literally understanding this, learning is a commitment. It is a process and it requires time. And there's this thing called loop learning. See, loop learning, there are 3 levels to it. So there's single loop learning, double loop learning, and triple loop learning. I'm giving y'all something that is going to literally change your whole view of love because it's definitely done it for me. So when it comes to single loop learning is when you repeatedly do something over and over and over again, like tying your shoe. You ever learn how to do something and afterwards you kind of just don't think about doing it when you do it? It's just easy. It just seems natural. Why? Because you did it repetitiously over and over again until you became the person that could do it. And then when you did it, you don't think about it. You just do it. That's it. But then see, that's cool. That means you know what to do. But then there's double loop learning. This is where most people they never get this far. Double loop learning I got to move around for a little bit on this one. I got to put some music on this one, because this right here, when I tell you this changed the game for me forever. I was like, hey, I get to love people the right way. Now I get to learn how to do this thing. So when I tell you that double loop learning is the hardest work that most people never even do, it is because it requires them to think at a higher level than they ever did. And this is what double loop learning is. Single loop learning is when you say, okay, I know what to do and how to do it. Okay, great. Double loop learning says, am I doing the right thing? That's the question you have to ask yourself. It questions the belief. Well, if you never question your beliefs, there's a chance that you might be believing a lie. And if in context of love, you think, oh, well, I love them. They understand. They know I love them. They understand. No. There's no guarantee that they understand any of what you assume they understand. So if you are going to love someone appropriately, then you have to understand their boundaries. So just because you're doing something does not mean you are doing the right thing. So you have to question and ask, am I doing the right thing? And if you actually want to know, then that means you have to ask. What does that require you to do? Oh yeah, it requires you to unmute yourself. So if you unmute yourself, this means you are taking advantage of the power that you have to open up your mouth and speak up on behalf of the person who really deserves and desires to be loved. However, if they've been going their whole lives being loved the wrong way and inappropriately by people and being told you just got to accept this. This is just how it is. Then you get to be the person to free them by simply asking a simple question. How do you feel loved? How do you feel valued? How do you feel appreciated? And even with the learning process, sometimes the person that you are trying to love, they don't always know the answer to the question. This is where triple loop learning comes in. So single loop was, you know what to do, okay, and you know how to do it. The double loop learning is, am I doing the right thing? Triple loop learning is, how do I qualify whether it is the right thing or not? Because some people don't know how to communicate to you. Even if you ask them that, they're not going to tell you the right answer. They're only going to tell you what they think. And just because somebody believes something, listen, the truth will set you free, but a lie will set you up. And a lot of the time, the reason they've been set up is because they've been believing lies and repeating lies. And if you repeat a lie long enough, you will believe the lie. And if you have been believing something that is not true about yourself, and you're telling other people these lies about yourself, then you're telling them how to treat you. And if they mistreat you because of what you told them to do, that is because they are not loving you appropriately. See, love is learning to observe the value in everyone. So the learning part requires observation, learning to observe. You remember the O, the L.O.V.E? Yeah. So learning. Okay. I got to commit to learning you and understanding you. That means I have to observe you. You may not be telling me what you mean to say. So I might need to be the person to unmute you. I might need to be the person to help you unmute. So you can actually specifically state what you mean to say and how you mean to say it. Because you ever been in a relationship with somebody who you genuinely know is brilliant, but they don't always say what they mean. They still trying to figure it out. They don't know how to communicate and articulate their thoughts effectively, at least not on the first, second, or third try. So if you are observing, then you're paying closer attention to the context of the person, the context of what they mean by what they say. And if you are committed to that process of learning and observing, what you will find is value, because they're valuable. And not only are they valuable, they're worth it. Most people don't recognize just how worth it they are. You worth it, fam. If you listening to my voice, then you are worth it. You're worth understanding, learning, and observing. You are valuable. But when you don't act like it, when you don't allow your demonstration to be your explanation, then you shortchange yourself and everybody else, because what you have to offer is useful, necessary, and needed. But if you don't know how to unmute yourself and people don't know how to pay attention to actually observe and value you, then Houston, we have a problem. And if we have a problem in understanding how to express what it is we are trying to say, and people have a hard time being patient with us to listen, then somebody got to yield. Now, what does that mean? Okay, learning to observe the value in everyone. Okay, L-O-V-E, that's love, right? Well, if love is learning to observe the value in everyone, then the value that is in you is something that you need to understand first. You are worth dying for, therefore you are worth living for. Now, not everybody worth living with, but you're worth dying for. My genuine belief and stance on this is that if God was willing to die for us, then you should be willing to live for you. And if that is the case, then that means all you got to do is unmute yourself. Speak the truth. The boundaries that need to be established and set, you need to stop crossing your own boundaries first. Because if you are not allowing yourself to be seen and perceived appropriately, then we got to make some adjustments, fam. And those adjustments may not be big, may be small. Very, very, very small. And let me give you a couple of them. Number one, stop allowing people to waste your time. You may think it's not a lot of time. Like, oh, it's just 5 minutes. No. If you allow somebody to waste 5 minutes of your life, what you are unaware of is 5 minutes of a whole day is 1 minute more than 1/4% of a whole day. Now, you might be thinking, what is that? Did you know that there's 1,440 minutes in a day? Yeah, that's 24 hours, fam. Do the math. 24 times 60. People say they ain't got time, but they don't know that there's 1,440 minutes in a day. Now, that's not something to be taken lightly, because if you go on to, let's say, it's Super Bowl, the Super Bowl coming up, right? Those little 1-minute commercials cost millions of dollars. Those 30-second commercials cost millions of dollars. Well, is your time and your life not worth more than millions of dollars? Those ads that people put on these actual YouTube videos, they cost money, fam. If your time is valuable to you, then you need to understand that 5 minutes that's not light. That's not something small. Because 1% of a whole day is 14 minutes and 40 seconds, if you didn't know. But 5 minutes of that ain't something you take lightly. Stop allowing people to waste your time. Your time is valuable. Your voice is valuable. You valuable, and you need to treat you like you are valuable. Stop crossing your boundaries by acting as if you are not valuable and what you have to say is not valuable. People need to understand your vibe. What's your vibe? Your vibe is your values, intentions, beliefs, and expectations. Because if we can't vibe together, we can't thrive together. Know your vibe. Know what you value. Know what your intentions are. Know what your beliefs are about things, and know what your expectations are for yourself and those who come into your circle in life. You do not have to allow anybody to remain somewhere that they don't deserve to be, by the way. Just because they are worth living for and dying for and all that don't mean they got to be in your life. They can be the greatest of people, but they got somewhere to be. If they can't vibe with you, they got to be somewhere else. In the words of Marty Moore, get test that, man. I ain't trying to be mean. I'm just saying, if we don't vibe together, that means that I am wasting your time and you are wasting my time. And that is a boundary that we have to stop crossing for the purpose of what? Convenience? Unacceptable. Unmute yourself by speaking the truth. And what is the truth? The truth is there are people who are waiting on you. And when you start saying the things that need to be said, they will find you. And those who don't want to hear what you have to say, they will leave you. They will dip. They will remove themselves. Well, if we're unmuting ourselves and we're helping other people by simply speaking up, and we're loving people, learning to observe the value in everyone, and we are identifying our own vibe, our values, intentions, beliefs, and expectations, then the boundary that is being set is only so those in our lives can roam free, including you. You got to free yourself by not allowing yourself to cross your own boundaries. And not being lazy, meaning not giving the energy and effort required for that which belongs to you to be taken care of. Some of us only have to do this one thing, and that is get intentional about our lives. One, don't let nobody waste your time. Wasting of time is not as simple as like you said you was going to do something and you went, had this bad experience. No. Wasting your time comes in the format also of having pointless conversations. Dealing with people that you have no business dealing with, and vice versa. Your time is valuable. And if you don't value your time, then you're not going to teach and show nobody else to value your time, fam. Now, unmuting yourself is you allowing yourself not only to speak up Tell the truth. And the truth sometimes is, hey, fam, I really like you. We cool, but we not going to be able to keep doing this. Because if we can't vibe together, we can't thrive together, right? Well, also, if we can't build together, then what are we doing? If we can't create something through communicating, then what are we doing? There's no point. So that means that I need to free you to go be you and vice versa. Well, if you know that there is value in what you have to say and it is not valued by the person that's listening, then that's a simple indication that it's time to move on. And when you move around and you move on, what you are doing is you are being intentional about your time, because time is not money. Time is infinitely more valuable than money. You run out of money, you can get some more money. You run out of time, it's game over. That's the equivalent to running out of life. And if you run out of life, you ain't getting no more of that. It's it. So let's be intentional about helping people to literally not waste your time, because that's wasting your life. And I honestly believe that's a little heavy. So I'm you know what I'm saying? If you are serious about your life and your time and your legacy is your reputation. And if you care about your reputation, you value your reputation, you know who it is that you are, you're not about to waste no more time, you are intentional about the life that you are living and leading, then all you have to do is unmute yourself and start speaking what you know to be true. But not just what you know to be true, but what do you have inside of you that may need to come out that could add value to the people that's around you? What about the people that's looking for you, that's searching for you, they're hunting for you? They all on YouTube looking for somebody with your story, because your story is the perpetuator of their glory. Your story provides them with perspective that they didn't even know they had access to. What if you only had to open up your mouth and immediately people will start rushing to you? And it wouldn't be the wrong people, it'd be the right people. What if unmuting your voice was how you would attract those that you are looking for as well? Well, if that is the case, then I want to invite you to literally unmute yourself. Find your voice. Get intentional about putting out there what it is that you have that's on the inside and allow it to come out on the outside, because God didn't give it to you for it to be not put to use. You've been gifted with everything that needs to be put to use, and that what you have in your tool set, as far as your skill set and mindset, needs to be put to place, put in the right place. And that is exactly where you are. You are where you're supposed to be at the moment. Now it's time to get intentional about where you're going, because there is nothing holding you back but you. Stop crossing your boundaries by being intentional about your time. That way you can unmute yourself, speak the truth, and allow those who are looking for you to find you. And when you do that, I guarantee you won't regret it. It may get difficult because disruption follows intention. But here's the thing. If you love the right way, the people that come into your circle and into your life, those individuals will actually respect, appreciate, and value you. And they want to learn from you. They want to learn you. They want to observe you. They value you. And they want to understand what it is that you understand. And wouldn't that be worth it? As a matter of fact, that's the very thing that will cause everything that you've experienced in the past to start making sense. All of the things you've outlasted, all of the things you've overcome, outlived, all of those things will be given perspective when you put them to use, because they are yours and you have ownership. Be intentional about your past, your power, ability, skill, and time. Be intentional with your voice, because there is someone waiting to hear it. Hey, I think I said enough, but I do want you to know that you got this, fam. It's Friday. And if you made it this far, the end of another week, fam, you still here and you got work to do. On top of everything that you have persevered. You made it from Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and here it is Friday, and you still here. Get busy. Stay focused. Know that you got this. Unmute yourself so you can help unmute somebody else. Much love, fam.